On May 11, 2025, SCR released Update 2.2, the update introducing Metro, SCR's first new operator in over 5 years. The community was shocked by this update, and rightfully so, because this update was massive. It added 3 new stations, revamped 2 existing ones, and introduced many new trains to the network. But did any of you notice how I said introducing Metro? Well, that's because Metro's story is far from over. In fact, we can already get a decent idea about what the future is for this operator. I hope you enjoy this new series on my channel, and in this video, we'll be investigating this tunnel stub near Barton and what it can tell us about the future of Metro, as well as the future of another nearby line.
Part 1. Where is this tunnel going?
Let's start off by going to this tunnel stub to investigate it. If you spawn at Barton, go to the platforms and walk down the tunnel towards Ellesmere Junction on this walkway. You'll find a junction where the tunnel splits in 2. One of these tunnels continues towards Ellesmere and the other is abruptly blocked off. Quick disclaimer, by the way. Only ever do this on a private server, as this counts as trespassing and isn't allowed. Now, you may think that there isn't anything more to see here, but just like the airport area tunnels, these tunnels have no collision on their walls, meaning you can go straight through them. Behind where the tunnel got blocked off, we can see that these tracks continue slightly, with one sloping upwards and continuing a bit further than the other. This is very important as it gives us a major hint as to where this tunnel might be going. There are 2 possibilities as to where this tunnel could lead to, well, actually 3, but we'll get to that. The first possibility is that this is a sign of a new Metro extension to Greenslate. The evidence for this includes these tracks going in the direction of Greenslate and the upward sloping track hinting towards part of this possible extension, shortly after the junction being at ground level, allowing it to avoid conflicting with the Morgan Sound main line. This would be necessary because, contrary to what recent SCR network maps have shown, Greenslate is actually south of the Morgan Sound main line. The evidence against this is that Update 2.3 is statistically less likely to add an extension. You see, SCR normally alternates their major updates between having new extensions and having no extensions, which, with the exception of 2.0, it has been doing roughly since update version 1.2, released over 6 years ago now. And since version 2.2 added 3 new stations, that means that, if the pattern continues, we wouldn't be seeing a new extension in version 2.3. But like I said, there is one exception, and it's actually quite recent, so there could be more in the future. The second possibility is that this tunnel is going to lead to some sort of overground Barton depot. The evidence for this includes that the closest depot or siding to Barton that you can drive directly to it from, the only one on some routes and unable to be spawned at on others, is Beachley Sidings, which is far away from Barton, taking 16 minutes to get to Barton from it without factoring in Metro's current congestion problems. Also, the reason why they couldn't add a closer one could have been that Update 2.2 needed to come out on time, and they didn't have enough time to add a Barton depot, so they didn't. Therefore, they might add one in version 2.3. The evidence against this is that this Barton depot would be close to Berrily depot, but that would probably be fine as there's already a similar situation at Benton. A third option is that both happen and we see a Greenslate extension on Metro with a branch to a new depot near Barton. This third option has about a 60% chance of happening, while the other 2 are about a 20% chance each.
Part 2. What might this extension entail?
In this part, I'm going to be discussing what the Metro expansion to Greenslate that I mentioned in Part 1 could be like. This is the same map I used in Part 1 that shows the approximate locations of all of the lines, stations, and depots around Berrily. The yellow line will show where this extension would go. The orange triangle will be Barton Depot, and these orange squares will be the info stations that would be on the line. It would start off by surfacing before passing Barton Depot. Trains that spawn there would be able to go towards Greenslate or Barton, creating a triangle next to the Morgan Sound main line. The line would then cross over the Morgan Sound main line on a bridge that would include the line's first station. After that, the line would turn towards Greenslate, with a second station towards the end of the turn. After that, the line would go downwards until being level with Greenslate. It would then go straight until terminating at Greenslate. On top of that, I actually have ideas about what the 2 new stations would be called. I think that the bridge station would be called West Berrily, and the other station would be called Berrily Denton Road, both named after formerly planned tramline stations that would have been in the area.
Part 3. A Greenslate branch overhaul.
In this third and final part of this video, I'll be discussing how a Greenslate metro extension would lead to the existing branch being overhauled, and what that overhaul would look like. Metro going to Greenslate would get Greenslate overhauled by default. It would then cause a domino effect, and end up getting the entire existing Greenslate branch overhauled. Since the line and its stations have been severely neglected since version 1.0 in some aspects, an overhaul is desperately needed as it would improve the scenery and fix outdated and strange things along the line. By the way, most of this concept will be based purely on assumption or my own ideas. Let's start with the junction near Morganstown docks. I drew this upgrade concept for it that would get the job done and won't look ugly as sin. Just after the junction, the line would turn right while sloping downwards. Whitney Green Depot would be next to this slow turn, with trains spawned there joining the line just after it levels out. The depot itself would get a facelift. Whitney Green would be a small village surrounded by countryside, with the station being based on those on the Derwent Valley line in the Peak District. Also, it would be cool if they added a tramlink museum where the Whitney Green tramlink platforms are now, with exhibits about the history of tramlink, where it would have gone, why it got cancelled, etc. Between Whitney Green and Robinson Way, the old tramlink route would be a trackless bed with some weeds and random bits of old rusty track lying around. The scenery on that part of the line would be countryside and woodland around Robinson Way, which I actually think Waterline would take over. The scenery would become more suburban. I think Waterline would take over Robinson Way because the distances between it and the stations on either side are similar to distances between other Waterline stations, making it a possibility for Waterline to take it over. Also, something like this actually happened with Upper Staplow. It was included in the original metro plans, but the original metro was cancelled, and Upper Staplow became no more than scenery. Then, in version 1.7, Connect built their own station at Upper Staplow, so who's to say that it won't happen again? After Robinson Way, suburban houses would straddle the line on either side, and the old tramlink route would end. Greenslate station would be next to a town centre area. It would have 6 platforms, 3 for each operator, and be based on Southport Station, because at Southport Station ARL, Merseyrail and Northern both have a line terminating there, each from a different direction, similar to what would happen at Greenslate with Metro and Waterline. Thanks for watching. Before the video ends though, I want to talk about how frequently you can expect episodes of this new series to come out. Expect episodes to come out mostly when something happens regarding SCR, specifically regarding future updates. However, you can also expect a few episodes to come out outside of these times, mostly when I have random theories about a future update I'd like to share. In general, however, don't expect an episode to come out within a week of a previous one. Also, I owe a shout out to Lynn by the Stepford. I'm linking his channel in the description along with the music, which was of course by Creepsington. Bye and have an amazing day.